All right, let's get to the calls here the rest of the way. The rest of the show is you on the phones. Joey in New York City, speaking of the Sphere, Joey wants to chime in about that. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Eddie, thanks for taking my call. Yeah, I have two things. One is about the technology in the Sphere, and also about a documentary. So Netflix, the company has had a lot of trouble and continues to have a lot of trouble getting theatrical screenings, because there's sort of like a boycott of their, because of the streaming service. They've been nominated. Some of their films have been nominated for awards even at Cannes, but they always sort of get blacklisted because of the whole streaming thing. So what Netflix did is they purchased the Paris Theater on 58th Street in New York a couple years ago, and they redid the whole theater with Atmos Dolby technology. And this weekend, for a whole month, it starts September 1st. They're having they're calling it the Big and Loud series, where it's films like 2001, Blade Runner, There Will Be Blood, Blowout, all with this Atmos Dolby technology. Supposedly, it's full immersion, where the seats have, I guess, some kind of sound speakers, where you're completely submersed into the films. So it's the first theater that's going to have Atmos Dolby, the Paris Theater. And the other thing I wanted to tell you about was the band X. They're on their 40th anniversary tour. They're playing New York Thursday at the Palladium, and there's this great documentary. It's currently on Tubi. It's called The Unheard Music. And yeah, it's great. They show how Raymond Zarek from the Doors discovered them basically at the whiskey, going to at the whiskey show, and then he basically produced for their record, kind of like what Rick Ocasek from the Cars did with Bad Brains and Weezer.
Yeah, so you're talking about X, not X Japan. X Japan is Yoshiki's band. You're talking about the punk band X.
The punk band X, yeah. Right. So yeah, and if anyone watches it, it's on Tubi, and it's. There's an interview with the singer Exene in the bathroom at the whiskey, and you can see on the back wall, I guess this was like 81 or something. You could see Rat. Tell Steven, it's on the back. They tagged, I guess, the band actually tagged themselves in the bathroom saying Rat is here for the attack, and it's tagged in the back with magic marker, and it's hilarious. It's a really cool catch.
That's very cool, very cool. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate all that info. I'll look for that doc, and I didn't know about that theater, but that's interesting. And I know what Joey's talking about. There's some technicality with Netflix, because they're not a traditional movie studio, although they make movies, obviously. Like, to get awards, they have to run in theaters. But since they're streaming, they don't ever go to theaters for the most part. So I guess they bought a theater as a loophole to run their movie there one time, so that they're eligible for awards. As far as that surround sound is concerned, I mean, I mentioned this in a past show, this format called Dolby Atmos, or the Atmos, is the newest of the surround sound formats. And largely, in my opinion, over the last 30 years or so, we've seen, for longer than that, we've seen the music industry, the audio industry, attempt to come up with formats that are surround sound based, that people will get into and want to rebuy stuff or buy the equipment to make that work. I mean, going all the way back to the 70s with Quad was like the first one I could think of. And then there were so many other things, whether it was for movies or music, whether it was Sense-Around or, all these different things that happened. Obviously, Dolby Digital, 2.1, 5.1, 7.1, DTS. Now, the new one is Atmos. The thing about Atmos is that Apple Music is all in on Atmos. And in order for some of the music, if you put out a record, if you want it included on an Apple Music playlist, you have to make an Atmos mix of it available, because Apple is using the format to encourage people to buy the pro version of their earbuds. Because my understanding is if you have the latest edition of Apple earbuds, and they're the pro ones, and then you have Apple Music as a streaming service, you can hear Atmos in this simulated surround with just those two earbuds in your ear. One of the challenges with this surround stuff is people just don't want to buy the equipment. They just don't know how to set it up. They don't want to make the investment in it. They don't care enough to do it. And that's why a lot of them flame out. Like, I was super into some of the home theater stuff there for a little while. And I still have a 7.1 DTS surround sound. But most people don't care. I mean, forget about surround. People don't even seem to care about audio quality because they listen to MP3s or these horrible compressed files or some of these streaming services that have awful audio. So to tell them, oh yeah, spend $1,000 and buy a disc or whatever, I mean, people just don't do it. So Atmos is like the thing that's supposed to get people, they think it might work because Apple Music is behind it and you only need to buy their pro earbuds, which is like $300. And there's something else. There's one other thing you need to do too. Like, I forget, but there's a proprietary aspect of it with Apple. So all that to say, one of the things that's happening right now is that mix engineers, audio engineers, are being hired in droves by record labels to do an Atmos mix of an old record. Not because I think a lot of people care, but it helps get them in good graces for Apple Music and placement there. But the stuff going on with the Sphere, the surround thing there, is a format that's never, ever been used before. It's being debuted there. It's a whole nother level. It's literally built into the dimensions of the building. And it does have speakers all over, so you don't have any idea where the sound is coming from. It's completely immersive.